everyone. I feel like today's topic is going to be a big one for me. So just to let you know, we're going to be talking about how to take accountability or responsibility for what is happening not only in our lives, but around us, what's surrounding us. So just to let you know again that it's going to be from my perspective and my view and what I think. So that does not mean that I think that you should think the same way or that you should absolutely do this. But I'm just presenting a way for you to have a different view of what's happening on in the world and how to maybe make a change. So again, take whatever resonates with you and leave behind what doesn't. So I wanted to talk about this topic because I feel like a lot of stuff has been coming up around me. So for instance, like if I'm on Facebook, I'll have like something come up about someone abusing like a dog or an animal or like a child, or things that are happening in society, in our government. So taking accountability and responsibility or ownership. So when I say this, I mean like how in my life or how in your life can you take responsibility on what is happening around you? And so I've been in this place before where I've blamed and I've said, oh, these people, like, why do they do this? Like, why do they have the right to, create so much violence, so much pain and suffering? And also like maybe playing the victim at times, like, why is this happening to me? And so first off, I want to talk about that. So before we can actually take accountability and responsibility, it's allowing us to process it, allowing us to go through that journey and feel. So for instance, like when I see that stuff on Facebook, yeah, I could be like, what the heck? Like, why is this person causing this pain to this being? And be angry, be sad and upset and cry. And I'm not saying that like you have to not feel that way and blame others, but allow yourself to do that. But I think not being stuck in that feeling and that energy is huge. Like moving through that, just like, okay, I'm mad at this person, I'm mad at whatever's happening around me, and moving through that and kind of taking a stand, like taking action. And I totally admire people that are like activists and out there and creating changes. And I'm not saying you have to do that exactly, but kind of see whatever is coming up and using it as a mirror. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially if it's something like crazy, like something violent. It's like, I'm not creating this in my life. Like I'm not responsible for it, but I believe you are. I believe I am. So for instance, like with that thing that I saw on Facebook, taking ownership, like, okay, how in my life am I creating this? And that could be really simple or something huge. And it could be that maybe I'm at a grocery store and this person the cashier is just being rude, and I'm just like rude to them, and I go off, and because I was rude to them or ignored them, like they just had it. Like I was the last straw, and they go home and I don't know, maybe they are horrible to their son, their daughter. They ignore them. They're just like fed up. They are not there. And then this child grows up to be an abuser. Just an example. And if I take accountability, if I take ownership, like, oh wow, like how am I living intentionally in my life? So, not blaming anyone, but it's like just realizing that, okay, next time I interact with someone, it's like going to be loving, or it's going to be intentional. Like I'm in my head, in my mind, in my heart, every interaction that I have is going to be full of love, so I can create more love into the world, not negativity or violence. So for instance, like, stuff that's happening in our environment, like the fires going on and all this waste being created, like how in my life is that happening? And I'll be honest, like I try my best not to buy so much stuff, but I still create some waste. And since I'm creating waste, there's gonna be waste in the world. So for instance, the other day I was just like writing in my journal and I look at my pen and I'm like, whoa, like this pen I'm gonna throw away, it's like plastic. Like how can I start thinking of ways where I can create less of this happening in the world? Right now we have a lot of glass bottles and we've been recycling them and hoping to make gifts out of them, and just starting a little by little and taking accountability and ownership that whatever is happening in the world is because of me. Yeah, there's a lot of people around doing these actions, but it's because of me, because I am maybe not loving myself completely or loving others. So for instance, like this is huge, and I feel like it's interesting for me to like mention it here. But can you hold space? Can you love an abuser? And by love, I'm not saying like you're gonna support whatever actions he or she or they are doing. I don't like what they're doing, but instead of blaming like, what the hell, like why are you abusing that person, like it's like I'm creating more abuse to this person. It's like, can I hold a space like, all right, can I ask you a question? Like, let's say, the abuser is in front of me, instead of like cursing him out, and not him, her, they, this person, instead of cursing them out, can I say, hey, like, can I ask you like why you chose to do that? What's going on in your life? How are you doing today? This person might be, let's put an age, 30 years old, and they're doing this, and we're like criticizing them, like, how could you do this? But can I take a moment to like just step in their shoes for a bit? Like, they might not tell me their story, and I might be creating a story in my head, but can I sit there and say, like, what happened to this person at 2 years old? What if they were like completely abused and no one was there for them? And like, that's all they know. That's all they knew. And that's what they grew up to be. And maybe because that person was abused, was that like the parents was the person I interacted with at the grocery store. So everything is interconnected, and I'm gonna be totally honest, when like I still do this sometimes, but when people like play a victim and blame others, I honor you to have that space. But if you're stuck in that space for days, for years, for your whole life, it's like, I'm gonna be like real, like this is kind of like a wake-up call for you and for me, like, all right, maybe blame, maybe play the victim, process, heal, be angry, hit something, do whatever, but move through that. And I don't know. For instance, like, what is the saying that to heal others, one needs to heal themselves? Okay, where in your life are you blaming yourself? Where in your life are you, the person that is creating this thing in your life? So I know this is like a huge topic, and I feel like a little bit like a bully right now, but I just wanted to express this. And usually I like to try to make this fun, and it can be fun. It could be loving, and it doesn't have to be hard to like work through this and, I don't know, create this world of love. So, I have some like notes here. Another thing is just keeping it simple. By keeping it simple, I mean, it could mean a lot of things, but keeping your words simple, your actions simple. I feel like there's so much going on, like it's like overcomplicated. you know, having to go to work, having to pay the bills, having to worry about like buying things for Christmas, like having to look a certain way to be on social media. You know, just keeping it simple with what you wear. You know, like I'm just kind of always sticking with the same things to wear. That means like I'm not consuming as much. And if I want new clothes, I go to a clothing swap, or I ask like my friends, like, hey, do you have stuff? You know, my clothes, I don't throw them away, I donate them. What other ways are simple? Like eating simple is just less stressful. Like, you know, we make spaghetti squash, which we just heat up in the oven, and then we like sprinkle it with some olive oil and some spices, and then we can add a little bit of like vegetables, but nothing crazy. It's just like creating less stress in our lives, my life at least. And the way that I'm creating less stress is just keeping it as simple as possible. Like, I don't have to spend all this money. I don't have to hang out all the time. I just go outside with my dog and sit out in the sun. And as I'm creating less stress, I'm like creating more room to realize like I don't have to blame myself. I don't have to be the victim. And as you do that, I feel like there's less and less people in my life surrounding me that create blame and are victims. And if they are, you know, I honor that, but I also start questioning, like, you know, what is good in your life? What is beautiful? So accountability, responsibility, ownership, it's huge. So how can you take ownership in your life? How can you take accountability in your life? I love you all. I want you to know that I'm not judging you. I've been in the same place, and sometimes I'm still in that same place. So please don't feel like this video is telling you that you have to do it. Again, take what feels good. Maybe what feels good is just feeling. Just have you ever just been angry, like at something that you see and just like literally been angry, like just scream and punch something? Like sometimes that's just a huge part to release. And anyways, maybe I'll just make another video of just like me hitting something. Anyways, I love you. May you have a beautiful day, a beautiful week. May you just embody love and amazingness. You have a purpose here. So I love you. Thank you.